This is Wavy Room. I'm Free Shep on the radio. You might know me from the Leading Vibe Radio on Apple Music One and Bantu, the African Creative Podcast. Wavy Room is my brand new show about connection, creativity. In each episode, I'll share a part of my creative journey. We'll hang out with creatives and creative-minded folk right here on the show. We'll also dive into the stories that shape our experience. I'll share a curated selection of events and things that you want to know about coming to spaces near you. And most of all, we'll listen to some music. If you've been paying attention on social media, there's a lot of music to share. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, if you're hearing this right now, it's because you're listening onto the RSS podcast version of the show. This version contains no music, so even though you'll hear me reference some songs that you've just heard, you will not have heard them. Not to worry though, the music versions of the show are available through our Wavy Room Substack. You can subscribe through Pre-Ship's link in bio and in the show notes, as well as Mixcloud and the exclusive Spotify version as well. If you still want to listen in onto the story of Wavy Room, stay tuned. In addition to that, the episode playlist will be linked to in the show notes as well. Thanks. Welcome back to the show, everybody. So this is the part of the show where I talk about the journey, and I want you to strap in because it's a little bit of a tale. I figured I would tell you the story of this show and why is it that you are hearing me in your ear, in your speaker right now. We have to take it back to December 2021. If you don't know already, Thames is my sister. And in December 2021, I went on tour with Thames in London. This was Thames' first set of shows in London ever. I had never been so infused in the music industry before. I think being around all those people, meeting all the people that I met, it really unlocked something in me that I've been trying to put my finger on ever since Bantu, the African Creative Podcast. Bantu, the African Creative Podcast was my show I created in 2021. I found music by producers who had not maybe produced on the song before, and I slapped them at the beginning, at the end of every episode because I really wanted to give the radio feeling. This is Bantu, the African Creative Podcast. Welcome back to Bantu, the African Creative Podcast. And I've been chasing that vibe ever since. So when I was in London in December 2021, and I was around all these people, and I was also slowly getting back into understanding my own relationship with music, understanding that what I actually have in terms of my collection and my taste is not nothing. And someone found out that I had a ton of playlists. I had over 40 something playlists. I had over 1,500 songs liked on Spotify. I could pull them out of my armpits. And we were just discussing at that point a possibility of a show with Thames and Apple. And I said, yo, I can produce that show. I'm your man, honestly. That was going to come around later on, but while I was waiting, I guess, I started thinking about this idea for a radio show. And I realized that there wasn't really anything that I could listen to that had a little bit of music, that had a bit of talking, that had just someone real and authentic speaking to you about things that you can see. My world is the creative world. I designed for a long time. I produced, I had art, I did everything, and I've done everything. And I'm still trying to evolve, and I'm still trying to do things better. And so my perspective completely was, why isn't there media that covers people that either look like me but also in my industry? And I think part of it was I struggled to find people who were at my level, multidisciplinary creatives who were trying to build something. That's changed now, but back then it wasn't the case. So I started thinking about how I was going to revive Bantu. This leads me to the second thing that happened in December 2021. I went to Nigeria for the first time in 5 years, and I met people who listened to the show, Bantu, the African Creative Podcast, in person for the first time, because I hadn't been to Nigeria the entire time I'd made it. With the amount of feedback I got, everyone who had listened to Bantu was so gung-ho about it. People told me, wow, they really loved it. They thought it was honest. They thought it was real. It was enlightening. That was the first day I realized there's honestly a ton of silent supporters out there. And if you're shipping something and you're not getting anybody saying that was really cool, it's not because they don't think it's cool. They just haven't told you. If you're lucky, you'll find out. And if you're not, just know. So I met people who loved the show. I thought, wow, I probably have to find a way to bring this back. But I didn't want to bring it back in the same way. I think I was struggling with the fact that I wanted to create a show that was dynamic. It wasn't going to be in-depth and as long, but I also wanted to give some people assurance that they were not alone. And that led to me dropping a trailer for Bantu, the African Creative Podcast, coming back in February. Obviously, if you're listening to this show right now and you look through the feed on any podcast app that you're on, you will notice that there has not been an episode since February 2022. And that is because around February and the beginning of March, I got the call that the Apple Music One show with Thames was going to happen. And that was how we started working on Leading Vibe Radio. As soon as I started working on Leading Vibe Radio, I put my own thing to the side and said, look, I have a lot on. I was also getting married legally at that time. I had won a competition in Ireland that, got me a lot of press coverage, but it made me incredibly busy. So I didn't have the time to make my own show. I never stopped thinking about this show. Fast forward to August, I had middle of the summer. June had gone because I still had a lot of things that were going on. And in August, I was getting ready for my traditional wedding. So what happened? I spoke to more people. But I also had a relaxing time, and I had a lot of time to think about what this show was going to be now that Leading Vibe Radio was over, which ended in June. It gave me the insight that I needed. It gave me the inspiration that I needed. And that's what I want to share with you. This part of the show is called The Journey. And on this, I'm going to talk about Studio Black, my company that produces this show and publishes, and it's a vehicle for all my creative pursuits. But I'm also going to talk about Wavy Room and this wonderful thing that you are listening to right now. So I've always thought that there is a massive network, and on this network there are a lot of conversations that are happening between people, and all these conversations, they form part of something bigger, something that drives the industry forward, that drives the march of the tech, entertainment, media, creative complex. Everyone has a sense of it. They know that something is moving and shaking and happening. Some people are lucky enough to be in the room when it happens, and I've met some of these people. But mostly it's a living thing, and it moves. When you are connected to it, when you finally meet someone who was covered in the press or created this amazing thing that you know about, and it might be the most obscure thing, but you know this person and you know what they made, and you have a connection with them. It's like being in the soul of creativity. And in that feeling, everyone feels connected, and they want to be more connected to what's happening with everyone. But you see, we live in a world where there is a diaspora. I am a diasporan. I'm a British Nigerian living in Ireland. I still want to feel like I know what's happening in Lagos. Do you know what I mean? I still want to feel like I know that if I pulled up in Toronto and I pulled up in New York and if I pulled up in Houston, I would find someone who thinks like me. I would find someone who knows some of the people I know. And you only get that through building real connections. The crazy thing about successful creatives that no one sees are the relationships they worked hard to create. The people who are at the top get called for the best stuff. They get all the attention on social media. It seems like they are at the cutting edge of the conversation. They are already doing the thing that is happening next. They set the trends and everyone tries to copy. They are in the right places at the right time, and it's sort of deliberate but with really good intentions. It turns out that if you genuinely like people and you're kind and you want to see them win, they will do the same for you. And there's a network effect that builds off that. And the best advice I could think of was to tell people, build strong connections, wish them well, catch up, ask them how you can help. When you build those connections, you can see the ripples, you can cause ripples, and then we all just ride waves. So that was my thoughts about this network. And I thought there has to be something that makes people even one step closer to this entire thing. So bringing it all back, Wavy Room is about that feeling you get when you're in the right place at a special time, connected to the right people. And if you can listen on the conversation, have fun, hear stuff about where people are meeting up, learn, and vibe to some really good music, then maybe why not? And that's how Wavy Room was born. Stay tuned. This is Wavy Room. I'm Free Shape on the radio. I've been playing some tracks I'm really loving right now, but I can't let you go without playing some music that hit that special vibe at the right time for me. I call this part the Wavy Picks. Listen up. The first track you heard there was Sneaky by Duckworth, produced by the one and only Jules, from Duckworth's late 2022 album Chrome Bull. Then you heard Little Bit, the soft remix by Guilty Beats and Joey B. The soft remix is slightly different from the original mix. It has a few Afro guitars that you might like. And the last song that you heard was Nkani by Muzi. I hope I got that right. You just heard our last Wavy Picks for this episode. Lax City with a track called Good Morning. It's one of his iconic tracks. Lax City is a British Zambian future bass producer, and there's few as prolific even within the future bass genre. I recommend checking him out. He's signed to Bitbird. Then you heard Hula Baloo by Mojo AF, produced by Ronahi. I have a special relationship with another song by Mojo AF and Ronahi called Galactic. Not playing that song today, but I could play that song all day. Well guys, that's my show. Watch out for Wavy Room episode 1 with my super special guest who I will not name yet. Wavy Room is a production of Studio Black. We're created with love in Dublin, Ireland, but our spirit lives in Lagos, Toronto, New York, London, and all the other places we converge. Thank you for listening, and goodbye from everywhere.